Hello and welcome. It is Sunday, it is afternoon, and I've got snacks. Do you know what that means? It's time for another lazy Sunday afternoon productivity stream where sometimes I'm productive and sometimes I'm not, but I've always got stocks. Bleh. I've always got snacks in stock. Bleh. There you
Always
go.
got something.
Right. So I am coming to you from my normal location on my desk chair at my desk, with Catticus around here whining his head off. He managed to escape out the front door 3 times in the last 2 days. So hope springs eternal. And with me today, I have Doc Coleman and Sako Tumi. Hello and welcome. Say hi to the nice people.
Hi to the nice
Hello,
people.
nice people.
So, we are here to do productivity sprints, but if you don't feel productive today, there is no judgment-free zone. If you want to eat snacks and read a book, take a nap, you do you. I know Sunday afternoon is not the most productive time for a lot of people. So, uh, so Doc, what are you going to be working on today?
Let's see. I think I'm still editing Kindred of Kali because I haven't gotten enough of my life organized to start anything new. So I may find myself running out of October and in November working on a nano story and writing a short story for an anthology at the same time.
That's a lot. Sako?
I am going to be working on a bath.
Ooh.
This is why her camera's off.
That is why my camera is off, at least at the moment.
I have a tagline that might not be appropriate for my stream, but I'm going to say it anyway, which is fan service, not full service.
Fan service, not full service. Yeah.
And I kind of apply that to, my Instagram and my writing.
I feel you.
So, and my cat is my cat just learned how to make the blinds go up.
Okay.
Oh.
He just because it's the type you can just push. He headbutted it up.
He's figured it out.
At least a little bit. So yeah. Let me pop into the comments. Let's see. Andy is here. Hello and welcome. We've got Sarah. Sarah says my weekend is weird, so she doesn't know how long she's here. Thanks for hitting the like.
Hey, October is for weird weekends. So.
Hi, Felicia.
Felicia is here. Hello. And RC says that Sako couldn't find her human face. It took a minute.
I couldn't for a minute. Yeah.
I hear you. So yeah, we are here. It is Preptober. I finally got some Preptober stuff done on Friday. Like I have character names and a very, very high level outline from one of the beat sheets from Jamie Gold's website.
Oh, cool.
And I figured out some soundtracks or some seed songs for each of the different characters.
Very cool.
So I've got a singer at a casino, so I thought I would give him Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
I have a red panda alien detective, so I'm starting him off with some Pink Panther vibes.
Some Pink Panther vibes?
And we have a gambler medic who might end up with some pirate music. Unclear. We'll see. Still trying to sort out her vibe.
There's always Ailstorm.
Always Ailstorm. But I find metal really stressful to write to because of the driving beat.
Oh, I see.
I feel like it's running behind me, and I'm like, no, I'm not there yet. So, are you in for Nano? I know Doc was going to work on his YA.
I am going to work on my paranormal romance.
Oh, yeah, paranormal romance.
Yeah.
How did I forget?
I think the only Preptober stuff I need to do for that is to really figure out one of the characters. And because originally I was co-writing it with someone.
Yeah.
She was taking charge of one of the characters, and I was taking charge of the rest of the characters.
Sure.
And well, she's kind of dropped off the planet, and I kind of want to work on it. So I need to actually like take her character and figure out like who she is and why she does the things she does. And, you know, like, I mean, I have an inkling, but I would like more of a concrete idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Are you recreating the character, or are you trying to flesh it out?
I'm trying to flesh it out.
Okay. Just because I collect warning stories from other authors about things that have gone wrong, and one of them was a friend of mine who did a first book in a series as a collaboration with another author, who then dropped out.
Right.
But he kind of needed the characters that she had created for the next book, and when she dropped out, she tried to drop off the face of the earth. So it became a whole rights struggle for him to get permission to use the characters.
Yeah, I tried contacting her about using the character, because obviously I'm not going to release it anywhere without her permission. But I would like to get her like blessing to move forward on the project.
Definitely.
And I'm at the point where I'm like fleshing out the outline, and I might add another subplot. My meta plot needs a little bit of work, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I need to figure out more about my main characters, their virtues and their strengths and weaknesses.
And those drawbacks.
Yeah, I was talking to my massage therapist, and they're like, okay, that sounds a little stereotypical. Let's lean out of the stereotype and play with it some, which reminded me of one of my favorite character building exercises. Joe Walton, who is an amazing author. I went to a workshop by her on creating characters, and one of the things she did was she had all of us take 3 scraps of paper and write down 3 traits for a character.
Yeah.
And we tossed them in a bag, and then we drew them, and you're not going to get 3 that match. And so it helps you switch up your characters. And one of the things I've done to kind of emulate that when writing by myself is I just did 3 lists of different types of characteristics, and then I rolled some die.
Yeah.
And especially for like secondary characters and stuff like that, where you don't want to, you know, oh, it's a coffee barista, here's stereotype of coffee barista there. It helps keep your secondary characters, especially from turning into stereotypes and 2-dimensional. Because, you know, people are complicated, and people are not, I mean, yes, stereotypes exist for a reason, but we're all more than just that, you know? So I know I am my own target demographic, and that, you know, I'm cheesy, and, you know, Target is my best friend because I am their target demographic. But you know what? I'm more than just that.
Yeah.
So.
But I always look for interesting ways to go ahead and embrace the tropes, embrace the stereotypes, and then flip them on their heads.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, I find that you'll often bring out other facets of the character's personality, which makes it look like, oh, this isn't a stereotype. This is the person the stereotype is based on. And it makes them much more interesting.
Yeah, I need to get to know my characters a little better. And because I'm not a visual imagination person, I'm gonna have to hit up you know, Google image search and try to find inspirational people for my characters.
Do you know what I love doing? it for writing specifically and RP stuff and stuff like that is I'll go to thispersondoesnotexist.com.
Yep.
And then I take that portrait and I bring it into Art Breeder and I tweak it. And yeah, it's AI. I'm not using these images for promo or anything like that. It's really just for my own reference.
Yeah.
And I might do some artwork based on it, which I'll release, which is different.
Yeah.
But
when I do hit up Google, I'm looking at like models and actors and public personas. I'm not trolling Facebook for private profile pictures because that's not cool.
Yeah.
You know, people who have their image out there who are okay with that or know that it's out there is very different than someone's, you know, Facebook profile picture.
I tend to go through Pinterest sometimes.
Yeah.
If I'm just looking for quick and dirty.
I'll pen them in Pinterest and put together a board just so I have a central place to have them.
Right.
I've occasionally gone through Pinterest trying to look for authentic looks that I can then meld into my descriptions of people. But yeah, I need to take another think about thispersondoesnotexist.com because that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I'll just shuffle until something looks close. And
yeah,
then...
it's like at first it was great for like, you know, helping flesh out what a character looks like. But now I've got to wonder, it's like, where did their source material come from? With all the other stuff that's been going on with art manipulations. So
yeah. So yeah. Another thing sometimes I do is I go to those avatar creator sites and play around with that. Or like, is it HeroClix or Hero Forge?
Hero Forge.
Yeah.
Hero Forge is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those who don't know, it's a place that'll print out a 3D model and it puts together like dwarf or elf, and you can adjust all the different.
And they've started doing like cyberpunk stuff.
Yeah.
And
they've got all kinds of different things to let you digitally design a miniature.
Yeah.
And if you've got a 3D printer, then you can download
it. Order it for $20 straight from them.
Or you can order it from them, although I think for them it's more like $40. But it's been a while since.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but that's still very cool.
Oh, that's if you get it in color, I think.
Maybe I don't know.
If you intend on painting it.
Oh, he's got something.
Oh, very cool.
So somebody else had already designed this, but since my current D&D game is actually what's the name of the system? Mind went blank. Anyway, I have an octopus character.
Nice.
So that I totally named after my space fantasies, not octopus alien.
Yeah.
So what genre is the game?
Oh, it's post-apocalyptic, and human or animals are now humanoid, and there's Gamma World.
Gamma World sounds about right.
Yeah, Gamma World.
Gamma World. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. That's like old school. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are things you can do if you're trying to put together a character that looks about right. And you know, while I don't have a visual imagination, I do have a firm idea of what they look like conceptually, so I know when I get it close, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it can be fun. Just
maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll like spend some time in Hero Forge and like see if I can put together my characters and make them interesting.
Right? Maybe. Yeah. I'm still working on beta reading my dad's book.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I haven't done anything since my flight home on Monday.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I worked on it until my battery was at like 8%, and then I shut it down, and then I took, you know, the rest of the week off. I am currently at, where'd that tab go? Page 200 of 275.
Oh, so cool.
So like, I'm going to get this done before NaNoWriMo. I just I'm hoping most of it's today.
There's a bunch of people who are like 25 pages left until the end.
Yeah.
Whether they're editing or whether they're beta reading or whether they're writing, like drafting.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool to see so many people like close to the finish line. Like, I'm hyped for it.
Yeah. I got 2 new rejections this week, so I've got to get some more out. But I'm gonna miss my local NaNoWriMo kickoff party. It's usually on Sunday, and so I have a Halloween thing on Saturday.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get the room when they normally do, so it's on Saturday. So
I would have loved to
have
been there, but I
Right?
have back-to-back stuff. Well, your event, which happens before mine, which is great.
Yeah. So and I set up, having people over such that it was around my little niece's nap schedule, so that I would get some, time with the niece.
Okay, cool.
So it's worth it, but I'm still kind of bummed. But the science fiction society that I volunteer for is going to do a in-person and virtual kickoff on Halloween at like 7 p.m. So I'm going to be running the virtual side of it.
Well, son of a gun.
So
I'm doing a ritual and free tarot readings on.
I recognize it's a high holy day for you. So
yeah.
So let me pop into the comments. Ashling is here. Hello. Andy said, what kind of metal? Symphonic metal, speed metal, black metal, sludge metal. To be honest, though, I write to doom jazz these days.
I have never heard of doom jazz.
I'm just like, as long as it's not experimental jazz, I don't care what you listen to. But
experimental jazz can die in a fire. I have to agree.
Experimental jazz tried to kill me. We had this talk on our way to Imaginarium. I had a coworker who was listening to experimental jazz at the top of a stairwell because his desk was there. Totally legit. I'm a ex-marching band girl. It doesn't have a tempo.
It doesn't.
And I missed a step because the music wasn't tempoed. And I almost fell down a flight of stairs. Right. I stumbled about 3 steps, and luckily there was a wall for me to catch. Like experimental jazz almost killed me. I'm like, you can listen to it all you want, but you got to wear headphones for that stuff.
Yeah.
Quote from Minuet in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I don't think she called it experimental jazz. I think she might have called it freeform jazz. It's the only kind of jazz that she doesn't like because you can't dance to it, because it doesn't have a regular tempo.
Yeah. I would be doomed on Dune. I'm just telling you right now. Don't walk to the beat. Don't walk in sync.
Don't walk in sync to a beat that doesn't exist. Yeah.
Well, then again, maybe not, because I tend to walk. I tend to stroll. I'm Southern. So people like to walk faster than me.
Riker's AI girlfriend. Yeah.
So let me pop through the comments and catch up to that. Andy says, I love Jo. Still think she should star in a writing-based cozy mystery series. Who is Jo? I missed the reference.
I think I missed it too.
Okay. Andy says Hero Forge is his go-to for D&D minis as well. Only place he could get a Raven gunslinger. Yes. And Andy also likes Gamma World. Give me the weird D&D settings any day. Yeah. Sweet. I still have fond memories of my Thrycreen druid from Dark Sun.
So cool. I love the Thrycreens.
I named it
Just
Oh, Joe Walton. Yes, as in the author.
Joe Walton. Okay.
So, let's see. Oh my God, she would be so good in that. But okay, so Andy says that doom jazz is really moody, dark, and sounds like the soundtrack to a lost David Lynch movie or a film noir from another world.
Neat.
Fairy film noir.
Right. I'm not David Lynch's target audience.
Yep.
So, and that's okay. Not everybody's everything. So,
but I can get behind alternate world film noir. So,
oh yeah, no,
yeah.
you shocked I am.
Shocked, I say.
So,
But I don't write film noir. That's Andy's shtick. But no.
I mean, you could dabble, do a short story.
I don't write film noir. I just visit it.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, let's get to a sprint. What do you think?
Sounds great.
Too bad my window scrolled down. Okay, there we go.
Lost a window. No.
Right? It was very weird. So my new camera I'm testing out.
It looks good.
It doesn't have a stand though. It doesn't have a screw to screw into a stand, so I've got it on my laptop.
Oh.
You know, it just sits on the top.
Just perching on the top of the laptop?
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
I had to move my laptop though. So well, yes, Sarah is in fact entirely David Lynch's target audience, and you know, more power to you. Enjoy it. You've got the Twin Peaks like podcast. I know it's your jam.
Yep.
So, and I'm super glad that you get to enjoy it. So yeah, we have 23 minutes. Let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1. Boom, chakalaka laka. And I'm totally gonna beta read and not play with Hero Forge.
Totally.
And we're back. How was your sprint?
Wonderful.
Well, it took me a little bit to get myself going, but I think it went pretty well.
Nice.
Apparently, I need WebGL to, like, the video card acceleration stuff. I had to turn it off to try and get Discord to do stuff, and it still wouldn't do stuff. So I think it's like something with the Mac that isn't agreeing with Chrome.
Oh dear.
It's like, update your video drivers. And I'm like, they are updated. So what do I do about it?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the product that you're having trouble with?
WebGL. So, like, Hero Forge, for instance, requires WebGL. So, like, I am.
Have you tried a different browser?
The only other browser I have on this system is Safari, and I kind of don't wanna.
You could download Firefox. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
What browser are you using?
Chrome.
Chrome? Okay. All right.
See, where do I put this?
I have another browser that I sometimes use that's named Sleepnir. SLIPNIR.
Sure.
It's a fairly good standards compliant browser, but I always wanted to have a third browser that never had Facebook open in it, just in case.
Yeah, I hear you.
Although I admit I've not been using it much lately, but
I have one browser for one Facebook account and one browser for a different Facebook account, and whenever I log into one of them keeps switching to the other one, and it drives me crazy. And I'm like, why do you even know about that one? Leave it alone. Don't touch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably because of accounts, whatever. It's a thing. Anyway, I played with Hero Forge. I did no beta reading. That sprint. I got to the shoulders. I figured out the hair and the weight and the height for one of the characters. That's all I got so far. Let me pop into the comments. Sarah says that she's sure she likes David Lynch enough to fill in for anyone who doesn't get down with it. And that changing a character's gender in the middle of a story is terribly invigorating. To which Doc said,
it's something that not everyone can pull off well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sarah says, luckily the story is relatively short, so she thinks she's doing okay. I mean, changing gender in real life can be terrifying and invigorating.
Indeed.
Unless, of course, you're around my one half, in which case it means someone threw water on you.
So, let's see. Shannon, hi. Swung by to say hi and hit that like button. Thank you. Let's see. Sarah changed somebody's gender and wrote 273 words on top of that. That's awesome.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, Desdemona finished up a walk and got a snack and managed to sit back down just as the sprint ended.
Isn't that gratifying?
Right? Rita had apple slices for a snack, chocolate and water, and is now wandering through a mess of index cards for her NaNoWriMo novel.
Yeah.
And for Andy, he got 2 more pages edited. It's the last 2 scenes, so every edit is very intensive, almost at a rewrite. Oof. Good luck. That's a lot.
Yep.
So, I did want to give a shout out to my newest followers, Shelby McLean, Cleland, Elizabeth Ryland, The Living Scarecrow, J.K. Lambeau, Lowry Lindquist, the Chuck Jose channel, Joel Green, Jane Lane, Tristan Garcia, Wayne Keyser, Jimmy Tutos, Tiffany, Self Pub with Andy, Mr. Ducat, and Bad Grammar, Good Stories. So at some point, the people at the end get like moved off because new people. But yeah, so yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. There's only so many people you can put in a single ticker. Not gonna let you use. Or is doing something else entirely.
Well,
Doing something else entirely.
I'm still trying to figure out where to do the things that it wants me to do.
Yeah. Set it on fire with your brain?
It's a new laptop.
Okay.
So I don't want to set it on fire just yet.
Sure. Yeah. Things I learned about 2 weeks ago is that my camera was dying, not my microphone.
Mm-hmm.
And when I plugged in my camera, it recognized no audio devices whatsoever. But it was from the camera's audio dying and that connection.
Oh,
so it would not recognize any cameras or audio devices when my camera was plugged in.
Yep, that's no fun.
No bueno. So removed, deleted, new camera. So I did a lot of uninstalling, reinstalling drivers.
I feel like I've been successful for a long time running off just the internal camera. So
yeah, oh yeah,
and audio.
Yeah. Yep.
Hi.
And Greg swung by. Hello.
Yep.
Hi, Greg.
So, what do you say about another sprint?
Works for me.
I'm going to say this is starting to sound like we're getting ready for Nano or something.
Or something.
Ready for Nano. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1. Boom, chakalaka laka. we're back. I finished Gale, and now I'm almost done with Rendy. And then I'm going to start creating a Red Panda character, assuming Hero Forge can handle it. So, how was your sprint?
I figured out the WebGL stuff. Ooh. So I'm messing around in Hero Forge, trying to make character things.
I'm the only one not messing around in Hero Forge today. I'm almost to the end of my chapter. I mean, I'm like literally 3 lines from the end. Although editor's notes say more stuff, put more notes in. It's like I'm beginning to get the feeling, going through some of these later conversations, that I tend to do a lot with negative space and letting the reader kind of fill in the details,
which is a choice. You know, it's totally valid.
And this editor wants to see me fill in a lot of that stuff, and it's trying to figure out what little I can do that still keeps that feeling, but provides a little bit more detail to work with. But
sure.
All right, so I got to go and throw boxes out on the curb for the grocery person, because they're on their way.
Nice, awesome.
Be right back.
Okay, I'm gonna pop into the comments real quick.
Cool.
So let's see. Ashling was working on the same video as last week and hopes they can get it finished in the next day or two. It's over a week late, but is like 75% done.
Cool.
Jen writes, romance swung by. Hello.
Hi, Jen.
Andy is almost done with the rewrite of the last 2 pages. That's awesome, because endings are hard. Getting it right, especially, I think it's hard with no matter what size, but the wording gets really, really particular when you're doing a short story, because you have such limited space to really get it popping.
I would love a microphone as a prop.
Yeah, me too. So I went with a guitar, but he's a singer, not a guitarist.
The guitar will work. There's a pen.
Yeah. So
we're getting close.
Okay. Desdemona is working on her outline and doing some research, trying to decide how fast she can make her future society create a vaccine without it feeling unrealistic. Yeah. It depends if it's a variant on something they already have a vaccine for or not.
Yeah.
So I think, right now we can do 6 months. I think 6 weeks to 3 months in a futuristic society seems realistic to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but we have AI helping. Sarah got 555 words. Nicely done. And Sarah is also a reader fills in the blanks writer, and it frustrates some readers. You write horror. That's like expected, I would think.
She also pantses her horror. So like
Yeah. Andy says one of the last few sentences of the short story. 1 Scrivener export and it's done.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
Super nice.
Yeah. Desdemona says it's completely new, but she's looking at future tech that may be faster but still safe for vaccines. Yeah. Let's see. And Sarah says, oh, it's not as expected as you might think. Really? I don't know. For me, horror is all about the vibes and the tension. And when you describe the actual horrific thing, it loses some of the fear factor for me. Both
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But if you have to reveal the thing, the horrific thing, then don't leave anything to the imagination.
I think it's more of a case of lots of description of the hints that the monster is there, the
The
bloody icicle
repetitions.
dripping down the walls and type stuff. There you want lots of description, but you want to keep the monster that everyone's afraid of in the shadows and in the darkness until it actually jumps out and chomps on you, in which case it's over for that character.
The horrid breath, etc., etc. Yeah. Sarah says she gets critiques a lot for not filling in enough a lot. So, and Desdemona is struggling with finding COVID vaccine research that isn't just COVID vaccine information.
Yep.
So, Aisling says that they agree with me, and they like to have some things left up to my own head. Yeah. I'm not a very visual imagination person in the first place, so some people do like that, cinematic vision given to them. But I want to know what the main character is thinking and feeling. I don't really care what it looks like, other than, it's 12 foot tall and, super broad shoulders and can sit on her and crush her. Like, give me a scale and maybe super, one or two details, spikes or rotting flesh dripping off the nails from where it was ripping anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So,
but there are definitely some things where it's better left to the reader's imagination, because as soon as you go and describe it, it becomes boring and mundane.
I mean, hopefully not mundane, but categorized. We can catalog it and move on once you've described it.
Yeah.
That's a ukulele.
Sarah says, "Oh, I can't hear you, but there's Jeff Goldblum. Sorry, Jeff wins." Understood. Aisling says it depends on the story and the monster. Sometimes they love the details, but they also find a lot of overly purple prose very tiring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Purple prose is different. I love prose, especially horror prose. Mm-hmm. I am a fan. So, Laura Nettles, the way she describes stuff,
sure.
But if describing the repercussions of the horrific thing is a lot more effective, I think. And then at the climax, I mean, if you gotta show your big bad, then show your big bad,
Yeah, I know for me it's more like I'm very much have this whole dialogue back and forth, what I like to call multi-person banter. And it's whenever I get to one of those conversations, the editor always got comments about who's saying this. Well, describe everything that they're doing. Where is everyone in physical location? And it's give me details out the Yahoo. And it's no, this is a rapid fire conversation. I can't do that.
Yeah. I think this editor is maybe not the right.
The editor
100% definitely the style of writing that you do.
I think I might be able to work with this editor more, but I think they've got to come towards me some in style.
Yeah. So, I was going to say something, but I lost it.
Yep. Did you look under the cat?
Right. So, okay. Aisling says they read a lot more psychological horror. Sarah is back, but to be honest, she's had a crush on Jeff Goldblum since middle school. Yeah, I know. Weird. So I was fine with it. Hey, yeah, you do you.
You.
right? Desdemona bought a paper copy of a novel that she's audiobooked more than once to see how the author writes. She has a very vivid imagination and sometimes doesn't notice when descriptions are light. Desdemona is 50 pages in, and he hasn't hardly described anyone's features. I hadn't even realized how scant his descriptions are when just listening to the audio. Yeah. Andy says, depending on the style of writing, explaining how the wall looked like a Jackson Pollock painting afterward can be more effective than the autopsy report method. I am currently beta reading. Okay, no, I'm taking a break from beta reading, but earlier today I was. And one of the things that the person I'm beta reading for, cough, cough, my dad, does a lot of other writers do as well, especially on early drafts, is action scenes turn into stage directions. So-and-so stepped here, swung this way, the physical actions, but like none of the visceral, like, what does it smell like? The sound of a whatever crunching,
Oh,
is
sure.
the person scared? Are they sweating? Are they analyzing the situation? I want some emotional impact, not just the stage directions you write for you, and then you trim it down to what the main character is dealing with,
Yes.
the point of
Yes.
the character.
I build my world around my character's reactions.
Yeah.
Right?
My overwriting is overwriting what my character is thinking, feeling, seeing, and underwriting everything else, because I care about what my character cares about and not so much about anything else.
And that's the tricky part, is that my characters actually care what's around them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's a horrific thing. Like they don't like cockroaches or whatever.
Sure.
So I'll describe the cockroach.
Yeah.
For me, it's very much, because I'm writing first person, I'm very much in the character's point of view. So he's going to spend time to describe anything that's strange and weird. He's not going to take time to describe something that he's very familiar with.
Right.
Correct.
So
yeah,
it becomes a weird balance there that definitely throws some people off. Because there's like, oh, I caught a glimpse of this person. Let me describe their face to you in exquisite detail.
Sure.
But you only got a glimpse of him. You didn't see him that well.
So yeah, stage directions are good for the first pass, but after that, let's we worry about the emotional impact to the story. So and also I think a lot of people who think very visually do that, because, or like come at it from a script writing background, are going to lean more that way. But also people who are coming at it from maybe a D&D role playing, because they're thinking about what move their character did, as if you're rolling the dice, and I swing with my hammer, and then, I do a grapple check, that kind of thing.
It'll sometimes with stage directions, because somebody's trying to figure out, while they're writing this on the fly, how it is that their character wins or loses.
Right. And do it.
But
then edit.
that's good for first draft, but you clean it up later.
Yeah. Yep.
I think of like my zero draft as just a fleshed out outline.
Yeah.
So I may not be as descriptive as, I would be in the fourth draft.
Sure. So, okay. Let me pop back into the comments. Let's see. Sarah said that many of her early step readers aren't horror readers by nature, so that might be part of the issue.
Oh,
with the description feedback.
Definitely helps have people who are in your genre.
Yeah. I don't mind having one beta reader who's not in my genre, but
ditto.
I don't want a lot, because I want to make sure it's readable by people outside the genre, but there are genre conventions and expectations, and if you miss those genre expectations, you get 1 starred. So not following their expectations is also going to bite you in the butt. So You want crossover fiction that'll be a huge hit, but also not disappoint your primary audience, and all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's see. Ashling says that Laura Nettles, her details are great, but I'm honest, I don't like most writers who try to do what she does. Laura is skilled enough, in my opinion.
Laura picks her words carefully and her metaphors carefully.
Sure.
She doesn't just like spill out purple prose willy-nilly.
So I have a question about purple prose. I know for those who are unfamiliar, purple prose is usually a lot of what you get out of people going for like a creative writing degree, where like you overly describe every little thing, and it works for some literary fiction. But in my space fantasy, I've tried to be more lyrical. And where's the line between lyrical and purple prose? Is it where it slows the action? Is it when I use too many adjectives?
It's when it slows down the pace of the book.
Yeah.
Right. So you could have like Jack London, for instance, 15 pages about how cold it is outside. Purple prose.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm over here editing my dad's stuff, and like he'll have a sentence where somebody shows up and then he says they came in from the left, and I'm like, we don't need to know that. They show up. Done.
They show up.
Yeah. And
came in from the left.
Not like that, but like, he'll say there's a thing that happens, and then he'll explain where it came from. And I'm like, it's there. We don't need to know where it came from.
We don't need to know where it came from.
It is not relevant to the plot at all that they arrived that night, the night before they shipped out.
No.
We're not on that ship. And he's, sorry, Dad, if you watch this. I know you don't usually, so I can probably get away with it. He's got this thing where he tells, like, he has so-and-so talked about this and that and the other. And I'm like, why not just say so-and-so said this and that and the other? You're not actually slowing the pace, and you're suddenly telling instead of showing.
Yeah.
But he does a lot of telling in between dialogue, and like to get to the next dialogue scene. And so I'm trying to pull him out of that and point it out, so hopefully he can notice it more himself. And dear God, if he could run grammar check, that would be awesome.
Oh.
So it's mostly like there are typos every couple pages that are like the wrong word, like the instead of they, and that kind of thing, like, typo issues.
Yeah, but like even Chrome and Google, like,
there's a reason his first book that was published small press had the first sentence had the in it. Like, when they sent him the copy edit, he got confused about accepting edits versus just closing them, which legit. But if he'd run grammar check, it never would have been there in the first place.
Right.
Like, run grammar check. It's not. Even LibreOffice has grammar check.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I have feels.
Yeah.
And I feel valid in these. Like, I don't think I'm
no, your bitch is valid. Yeah.
So anyway,
especially the editor in you, I'm sure, is like there.
I'm 200 pages in, and I've only made a note of, hey, grammar check would have caught this 4 times, even though I've fixed more typos than that.
Right.
So, and like randomly double spacing in the middle of a sentence, or, when you start a sentence and then you reword it halfway through, and sometimes you leave in one of the words from the original version of the sentence, and then do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah.
Instead of just rewriting the whole sentence so that they just like tinker with the sentence until
yeah. Like,
and sometimes there's some extra stuff,
and there's a word or two left in.
Mm-hmm.
And grammar check would have caught it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, respect your beta readers enough to run grammar check. And he's like, I don't really do a lot of revision. I think my drafts are pretty clean. And I'm like,
your drafts are not clean.
Oh, honey. Oh, honey. So anyway, don't tell him I said that, because I mean,
I will not
it's readable.
tell him
I have
any of that.
definitely beta read things that are a struggle to get through. And while I'm pointing these things out, I'm on page 200. I can do, you know, about 25 pages in an hour. You know, it's not dragging. It's definitely not dragging.
Okay, cool.
Things to fix, but it's not like me forcing myself to read it.
I know what that's like.
So I've done a little bit of beta reading, and you know what purple prose is? How I describe, like, have you ever done a D&D campaign where it's got the flavor text describing a room? Purple prose right there.
Purple prose is usually prominent in fantasy, high fantasy most specifically.
Yeah. And we're not saying you can't describe things. I just prefer if you have one or two sentences and then somebody does something or says something or feels something, mix it up.
What does the character notice?
Yeah.
Right? If they're like CIA and they grew up in military family and stuff like that, they're going to notice a lot more stuff.
Or different stuff. You know,
and different stuff. Right.
Yeah. And, you know, somebody's going to be noticing the entrances and exits. Somebody else is going to be noticing that the chairs are not fully on top of the carpet and really the layout is wrong. And if they just tweaked it, you know, if they're like a designer's kid.
If they're OCD or something.
Yeah.
That would be the kind of stuff they would notice.
If they're the type of person to keep a level app on their phone, they'll notice if the pictures are crooked. Just totally random. So yeah. We lost. Oh, grocery time. So
grocery time.
About another sprint.
We have comments too.
Oh, you're right. Oh my gosh. Whoop. Let's pop over. Let's see. Desdemona said that the same author specified a chair designer in a coffee shop, a real designer, and Desdemona found it kind of interesting that he thought that bit was important, not what it looked like. Oh, they described the chair by the designer, not the look of the chair.
I think that is putting a lot of faith in your reader to know who that designer is.
I think for some it's that, but for some it's the chair is more about being from a name than what it looks like.
Correct.
You know, so maybe they were just saying the person was concerned about status and like having the latest thing by the designer. So if that's what they're trying to convey, then I think it can work. But if they want to describe the actual chair, that's useless for 90% of the readers.
I think the chair is saying something about the person, the character, right?
Yeah. So, Ashling says, I mean, I don't love this. That's why I don't read lit RPGs, because so many are D&D games spelled out. Yeah. The stage directions. I was in it was a Conan the Barbarian game system in which we were completely railroaded because he'd already written the entire story.
I hate GMs that do that.
I spent an entire game session unconscious. I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy during the game.
I believe it.
The entire thing. And I mean, I read fast, but like, if your character shows up and their character is unconscious, because Conan's supposed to be gritty and you don't get heals as quickly as you do in D&D, give me a secondary character. Give me a nightmare, something.
Give me Conan. No.
Whereas when I did Shadowrun, I was a decker, which is a hacker. And so usually the other characters are doing like some sort of espionage thing while I'm hacking in. He made it and paced it such that I was never bored and they were never bored while I was hacking and they were doing the thing. Like,
that's difficult because when you're decking, your you're decking, you're in by yourself, and you are so much faster than everything else going on. You can deck in a combat, in the middle of combat, and your decking experience will take longer than the combat will.
Yeah. Yeah. But he would usually do it in rounds where they're, shooting the people coming up behind us while I'm decking, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I have a GM that does that for our Star Wars game, because I'm the hacker, and then we've got our medic, and then we've got our like DPS and stuff like that.
This game was literally 20 years ago, and I'm still so proud of him.
Yeah.
I just looked at the date and realized that I'm getting old.
A storyteller that can do that well and keep the party entertained and balanced is priceless. It's like,
yeah. We're
Who
still
knows how to pace?
Yes.
And that's something that I try to work on pretty much constantly, is my pacing.
Yeah.
Because it's so important in my writing, and I think of RP as collaborative storytelling, right? We're writing a chain story. So I don't know, words, comments.
Okay. Well, let's pop back to the comments. Let's see. Sarah says that CJ, a writer friend of hers, usually reads the first draft or two, but she also does understand what she doesn't know. She just wants more detail. And yeah, Aisling is like, I know that, lit RPG is D&D games.
But there's doing it well and doing it badly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I keep
A Professor's Description of Purple Prose by Andy says, the gun sneezed lead. Ka-chow, ka-chow.
If that sentence was twice as long and included onomatopoeia even further, then yes.
And if the gun was sentient and had comments about why it was sneezing.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a gun sneezing lead.
Right? I think that's actually cute. That could work in some things. I think, if you start it, yeah.
Now, doing the onomatopoeia, like, I think that's unnecessary.
So, yeah. RC gave us some pumpkins and some pumpkin hearts. Aisling says, my grammar check adds an extra period at the end of sentences I change. That's so weird. I hadn't run into that.
That is weird.
And Andy says no one has clean drafts. He doesn't say he doesn't need to edit. He says he doesn't need to revise. So, yeah, at the end of sentences.
Yeah. We got what you were saying.
Yeah. Andy's got dinner. Have fun. And thanks for the...
Wow, is it really already 6:15? Wow.
Yes,
Andy usually pops off at 6 for dinner. So
yeah, I know. That's how I looked at the clock.
Yeah.
He's been waiting 8 minutes for
another sprint.
Hero Forge takes time. Desdemona, for the chair that the writer called out, had to look up the designer. It's a Danish novel, so maybe they're popular there, but the designer's chairs look really basic. I think if they would just said, the Danish designer, blah, blah, you could get kind of a vibe from that.
Depends on whether they mentioned the designer because it meant the chair was fancy, or they mentioned the designer because it meant the chair was really boring and cheap.
While you were gone, she said that the writer did not describe a chair, instead described it by who the designer was and nothing else about the chair.
Yeah, that could still mean it was like boring and cheap, but
right. But
but it's definitely a social clue that you're either in on it or you're not. That's not a story that's going to stand the test of time.
Right. That's why I was like, if they had said it was like a Danish designer or a modern designer or a Regency one more adjective and it would have given us more clues. So,
the chair was modern Danish boring, and it's this kind of thing that so and so would design.
No, but instead they name dropped.
Yeah.
They're like, It was a Doc Coleman chair. Like we were supposed to know what that meant.
Yeah.
Maybe it has cup holders.
Definitely has cup holders. Yep.
And like
definitely
a little side pad for the
location.
cat to sit on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a knee rest. So, okay. Well, we don't quite have time for a full sprint. Do we want to do a partial sprint? Do we want to talk about our nano projects, pet peeves? I don't know. What you got?
What you got? It's a Danish novel. Oh, so Danish design. Like I get it.
Yeah.
Is that like a Danish thing? Danish people are really into furniture design? I don't know.
There's a lot of companies like that do high-end furniture that are Danish and
give us IKEA, right?
No, that's Swedish.
That's Sweden. Oh, darn it!
But you have to admit, most Scandinavian countries have a very modern, streamlined vibe to their
right. Scandinavian design in general is very clean and has like untreated wood sort of textures on everything.
Okay.
So
and if Iceland gets like lumped in there, I would like to say that their futon or like their love seats can be super uncomfortable, terribly uncomfortable. I don't even know what they were thinking.
Oh,
how uncomfortable are they? No.
This is not my favorite.
These are futons designed for insomnia, to promote insomnia. Get Icelandic futons. You will never fall asleep during a watch again. No. So we good for another sprint?
I suppose so. I mean, 6:17.
I mean, we could squeeze one in, or we could go late.
Or we could just chat.
Or we could just chat.
Yep. Audience, you have a say in this.
Yeah.
I already polled everybody twice while Doc wasn't listening to me. So we've so tell us more about your YA fantasy.
So this is a book that I started a while ago while I was letting Perils of Prague sit between the first draft and the second draft, and it's about a girl who's an army brat she's not happy because their family just moved back to the States because mom is sick, and turns out mom ends up in the hospital in a coma, and she's not getting along well, and she actually gets picked on at school. Somebody throws her regular clothes in the shower while she's in gym, and she's trying to. The school actually had a home ec, so they actually had dryers, but she's waiting for her clothes to get dried, and some kids start chasing her in the hallway, and she ends up tripping going down some stairs and finding herself in a grassy meadow in the middle of sunlight. And she starts trying to figure out where she is and what happened, and she sees a dragon overhead. So she's literally tripped and fell into fairy.
It happens.
And she's always been someone who didn't believe in anything mystical and paranormal, and now she's trying to figure out, how do I get home from here? And she ends up traveling to a local town where a knight in search of a quest decides that he will be her protector and see her home, except he does a lot more of getting in the way of what she's trying to do than actually helping her. They go to see the local wizard, and she learns a little bit about the nature of magic and what it has to do with her future,
Okay.
or some of her possible futures. And I had in the last version, I'd just gotten about 40,000 words in, where she just decided to run off on her own because everyone seemed to be interested in keeping her there instead of helping her get home. So, and I just realized that I needed to throw in a bad guy and a mentor. So I basically threw in one character to serve both roles. And that's about where I stopped last time. But I need to clean up the earlier part. So I imagine I will get back to that way before I hit 40,000 words this time. But it's going to end up being a trilogy by the time I'm done with the whole thing. Because in the first book, she finds her way back home. In the second book, she finds out that people are disappearing from home, and it seems to have something to do with something going over on the Fae side. And that all comes to a conclusion in the third book, where she finds out, well, where the problem's really coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about as far as I can go without getting really spoilery.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yep.
Sako,
Mm.
what about your paranormal romance?
So it is a vampire love story.
Ew.
Lesbian story with obviously a female vampire and a girl who had cancer in her childhood.
Okay.
And she lives every day like it's her last. And the vampire can't understand why that would be a thing. So she becomes like obsessed with this girl, and they bond.
Aww. That's pretty cool.
So she goes on this like just self-destructive streak, and the vampire essentially rescues her.
So is this like a case where she's incredibly self-destructive, but to the vampire, she seems like she's so incredibly full of life because she's living her life like it's about to be snuffed out at any moment?
Right.
Okay.
You can see why I wanted to flesh out the character a little further.
Yeah. That's super cute. So that's pretty fun. And I'm playing more with my space fantasy world. Although this one isn't as fairy tale, and I'm trying to figure out if I can bring that fairy tale element in or not.
I was going to say, you talked about the red pandas and them being detectives. The last one you related to a specific fairy tale legend, and I was wondering if you actually had one for this story.
Well, I originally started off with Yorinda and Yorindel, in which they get too close to a witch's property, and she turns one of them into a bird and the other into stone, and then sends the other one away.
Okay.
And in this one, we have the sister who was gambling and lost everything, and her brother stepped in and agreed to sing for the casino in lieu of her payment. So he's trapped there, and he goes by the Nightingale because he got turned into a nightingale in the fairy tale. And she gets kicked off the ship. So, but like, I'm like, I don't know. It follows the fairy tale, but there's no like magical creatures or anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's no sense of the fantastic. But maybe I can figure it out as I go through. I don't know. I do think in it, you know, she finds like some nectar or something, and I think maybe she can win a gambling thing and end up with an alcohol and bring it back and exchange it for his contract to be over. And maybe it's called Nectar, why not?
I got you.
So you need to like look up some stories of trickster of out tricking the tricksters and
yeah, there's that, but also with the casino, I'm kind of getting Pinocchio Pleasure Island vibes, because you forget where you are and time passes differently because it's sailing the Aether Stream to avoid being in anybody's jurisdiction. But our singer's issue is when you're time skipping, because 1 year there is 3 years elsewhere because of the speed, it's really easy for your music to get dated. And if somebody new comes along, your stuff is old school now. So he's scrambling to keep his place at the, at front billing.
That's funny.
So that's his thing, but he doesn't even know that his sister's so devastated that she got him trapped. And things.
That actually almost makes you wonder if you've got a sub theme in there of somebody smuggling new music onto the ship while it's in flight, so that for a price, the performers can stay current.
Ooh, maybe. I think there's more of a it's the casino's, I don't know, 100th or 50th anniversary or something, and there's a big show coming up, and he wants front billing, and they'd brought on somebody to be his opening act, and he was told if he doesn't shape up that he's going to be the opening act for the other group. So, he's got a bit of a battle.
He's like, no, I could be headlining.
Right. Because he's been the main draw for the last 3 years. And now he's slipping because he's been, out of mainstream if he's been there for 3 years, 9 years, elsewhere. So
actually, there's actually a good bit right there about the fact it's like, oh, it's a 10-year contract. It's 10 ship years, which means 30 years out in the thing, and there's this kind of penalty for not concluding it. And so you end up wondering why all the waiters are haggard looking old former singers or something.
Right. But it's I think my big question right now is to make the siblings, or do I make them twins, or is that too cliche? As a twin, I find it cliche, but I've been told other people don't.
You could do fun things with twins, even if they're just identical twins, to say that they're
opposite gender, so they're not going to be identical.
Right. I'm sorry. I meant to say fraternal twins. I said the wrong word.
It's okay. There are identical.
The concept of having a connection despite the time dilation.
Maybe. I think maybe. But yeah, the whole detective comes in for those who are tuning in, because he doesn't know that she was kicked off the station, and his latest partner dumps him, and he's feeling alone in the world, and he's like, where is my sister? Why is she not returning my messages? So he hires the detective. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. I came up with the name for the detective agency.
And it's
a whole family-run thing, and by Red Pandas, and there are branches on almost every station and in almost every galaxy. Branches, right? And it is the Aether Stream Detective Collective.
Okay.
The ADC. So, and he really wants to open his own branch. And this is the first job he's taken without his parents supervising. And the cute bosun, he'd really like to impress. So yeah, and there's a bonus for getting the singer's sister back on the ship in time for the 50th anniversary concert. And his parents said they'll help support him setting up his own branch if he gets the bonus. So we've got a time crunch on that side.
Yeah, especially more of a time crunch with time dilation, right?
Yeah. So
it also seems like this ship of yours gives you a chance to be much more cosmopolitan in the species in your universe.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But we are at 6:30 and I'm hungry.
Have you not been snacking? What's wrong?
I had this sprint was brought to you by Popcorner's kettle corn flavor.
Ooh, yum.
But it's like 80 calories. There's like 7 chips in here.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
And it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So popping into the comments, Rita said they were getting so much done this afternoon. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So okay. What do you say we pop out?
We could do that.
Talking about outros, right?
Tell people where we can be found.
Exactly.
You can Google me at Sako Tumi, spelled like it is, or Sako. You will find all of my stuff, all of my social medias, all of my websites that I've hosted my art on, all of my, maybe even my website. Like, yeah, you can find me on the interweb.
Nice. Doc?
Okay. And you can go to your favorite search engine and you search on Doc Coleman Steampunk, and first hit will come up as my website at doccoleman.com, followed by my Facebook fan page and my Amazon author page, where you can see all my published works and look at samples of my books and decide if it's something that you might be interested in.
And I'm your host, Morgan Hazelwood. I am an actively queering fantasy author, and I blog, vlog, and podcast writing tips from the pros and my own writerly musings. This week, I was talking about, what was I talking about? I was sharing notes from Capclave with professional writers talking about how they handle rejection letters, because I'm not the only one who gets them. And on the podcast, Writing Tips and Writerly Musings, I was talking about In Space, No One Can See You Hide the Evidence, talking about crime in space, talking about jurisdiction and how the society informs what sort of things are seen as a crime. So definitely, when creating worlds, don't assume their society works like yours. Play with it. So
in space, everyone can see you jettison the evidence, but they need a really good telescope to tell it was you.
Right. So, and you can find me everywhere as Morgan Hazelwood, because X doesn't exist anymore. So
I need to finish my evacuation.
Yeah. So have a great week, and we will be doing nano kickoff stuff next time. So bye.
Bye-bye.